Physical Graffiti. Check out my music on all the streaming sites. Also, feel free to check out my website, Word Shapes and Colors. That is also my YouTube channel, my IG handle, and it's pretty much like the whole creative concept, with music being at the core, but everything else that derives from it, whether it be experimental film, visual art, set design, creative concepts, clothes. I got a segment right now called Audio Decor, where I do things a little bit more visual based, incorporated with music, and then sometimes I'll do playlists with the music featured, or different things like that. The concept is growing and evolving, and just as we all are as artists and creatives. So yeah, always looking to continue to expand on the art and the music, always trying to travel into different territories, always trying to add on something to the palette that's vibrant, exciting. It has to be vibrant and exciting for me, at least, before I could even put it out into the universe. But yeah, it's very important that I offer something else. I like to offer, I don't want to say something different because it's subjective, but I like to be as true to myself as I can be, and I feel that the result of that is always something authentic for the listener. You have anything like, I just want to make sure I don't drop anything.
No, there's nothing delicate in that bag right now. You're good.
Okay. So it was a lot of work to get to this point. So like, this is basically a concrete floor, right? And I guess I'll tell you kind of like how the color came together. But like, this is like there's two color themes that's going on within this exhibition, or this installation mixed media thing that I'm putting together to kind of introduce. So one thing is the introduction of the logo. I've been making music and involved in like music and art for about 13 years, and I never really did merch or did clothing for this reason. I was kind of waiting for a particular time where I could actually convey something that I felt comfortable enough to do that in. And my whole thing was like, you ever go to the store and see like a clothing, right? And you just like one little part of it, and you wish like the rest of it was not there,
just
and
gone.
you just wanted that little piece. That's kind of like my inspiration behind the clothing that I'm doing. I never wanted it to just be my artist name on a t-shirt, or my face on a t-shirt, or my face on a sweater. I spent like, it's a crazy story of how I even discovered like the blank sweater. Actually came out from my trip in LA. I kind of had a show. So I had my first show in LA scheduled before the pandemic, which actually didn't happen because of the pandemic, but I got hit up to do like a backyard show in Long Beach. So I had like this random show in Long Beach, California. Never been to Long Beach before. I had like no money, and I was like, yo, I gotta like make something to like survive. And I ended up going down to like the Chinatown out there, and I found a spot. They had blanks. We did a prototype. They ended up, when I came back to actually make more than one of the prototypes, they didn't have that sweater anymore. Like, a couple years later, not too far off, like after the pandemic and everything, that ended up being pretty much the prototype for everything that I'm making now. But that's actually a longer story that I'm not gonna say right now. But the reason why I brought that up was the color journey. So this whole thing that I'm doing here is basically an expression of the color journey. And I think if anybody does graphic design, if you're a visual artist, if you're any type of artist, you understand the headache that comes with color matching, from fabrics to when you're doing paintings to when you're doing graphic design. As the medium changes, the color matching becomes more of a process. And so like, this is basically introducing to you the logo by way of abstract expression, by way of solid colors, through words and the music, and just the overall experience. I think once you see it all come together, you know what I mean? And so like, That's kind of what all this represents, and that's why the color palette is. But this right here, this and these colors, aside from these being the colors of my logo, it was like an image in my head years ago. Like I get concepts in my head, like a color concept or a color palette, and it just kind of lingers until I get to manifest it into something. So this whole palette was something that has been growing with me for a while, and I don't know how. I'm sure everybody's different, but this color palette and these expressions have been in my head for a little bit. So basically, I finally got to, express them, and that's what they're here for.
What was the first color that came to your mind?
So it was like I think I was like traveling. I was somewhere, and I just got this image of kind of a lot like this. This was the first thing that came to my mind. It was like, the primary colors, but I'm always more of a subtle primary, more like pastels and softer tones. I'll use darker tones for certain things. In certain points, I guess it just depends on what I'm feeling, right? So like this image, a lot like this, came to mind. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I think I'm gonna make that into a design, into clothing. But the palette stayed in my head with this particular color backdrop. But this is a particular color, right? It's not like one that you could easily just go and pick.
Yeah.
So I had it was formulating, and I'll actually I have a video of when I first primed. This was the first canvas that I actually made. This is the mother of all of these pieces, actually.
Wow.
So from this one, when I primed this canvas, which I'll probably put in this video somewhere too, is like, I primed this one first, and this was gifted to me. This canvas was gifted to me while I was working on like my audio decor stuff. I did a few paintings throughout the pandemic to help, to help exercise these creative things. And so once I primed this and I found this tone that it was just in my head. I didn't, it was so close to what I saw in my head, because you have similar tones that's like tan or sand, but they're darker, they have a different, different shade. So this one was like perfect. So once I found this color, I knew that I wanted to do a series, but I knew that I'm very into creating spaces that help welcome people into the creative concept I'm working with, right? So the whole idea is that when you walk in, the room itself is a canvas as well, So like kind of building worlds, building environments. I created word shapes and colors as a home for not only my music, but for all the extensions of the music to exist in. You know what I mean? So it's like, first it started with the words, the poetry. Then the shapes and colors became like the other vehicles to fully articulate the creative concepts and emotions that I'm feeling. And so word shapes and colors is the home for every creative concept that I create. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
I didn't think I was gonna get so deep. I thought I was gonna be like, cleaning out, emptying the space, and here I am trying to talk. It's actually a lot more long-winded, but I hope to articulate it better. If not in this video, no. Depending on how it comes out, but does that make sense at all?
That makes sense.
So yeah, like that's what it is. That's the first piece. That was the one that, once I got that, I knew what I wanted to do. And that's how we got this color. You see, I also see a lot of, sometimes when I hear music, like I see them in like patterns or like colors or like, they come to me in concept. Very rarely do I just make something that's just like that. Like if I have an idea, it usually comes fully equipped with like a movie, a whole narrative behind it. And I'm really in love with that. I'm in love with making that come to life. Like I feel like that's like the determining factor. That's why, creating something and actually seeing an idea take form, an idea come to life, basically,
You got your whole outfit ingrained in the room.
What do you mean?
Like seeing you walk in here and then seeing what you're wearing now, it's like you're a part of the room. Like everything, right? Like you got your colors all matched up.
Yeah.
And then I look closer, right? I look closer at your nails right here, and your nails are matching the colors of this right here.
Yeah.
So like walking in, when I first see like this whole room, I'm like, oh shit, she's in.
Yo, that's so crazy that it's crazy that you point that out. It's I don't notice it sometimes, but people notice it. I think I do. I think subconsciously I'm aware, right? But like I have this thing, right, where it's like, how do I explain it? Because I could veer off in so many ways, and I want to try to keep it like direct, but like I literally live in my creative ideas when I'm in them, right? Like it's all I could like think about, and I'm fully engulfed. I'm super engulfed, and my decisions, naturally, like it's like I'm in these paintings. Not too far out, guys. Don't get it. I'm not too like, but like it's like so much. I'm so engulfed in it that it becomes attributed to like my day-to-day activity, the colors that I'm picking, what I'm wearing, and I think it's a conscious thing, but at the same time, I separate it in a way where it's naturally happening too. You know what I mean? Like I don't say, oh, I'm gonna wear this because this is the color of this. It kind of just happens, right? But people that I work with, when they've worked with me and we've worked together, and they'll see like a color palette that I'm like working with, like during geometry or during working on a different project or songs for sailing, people will tell me like, yo, like, well, I'll come by and they'll be like, oh, we're that's the color from this or that's the color of that. Like you're fully, like I've heard that before. And my name is Physical Graffiti, so I guess I'm finally living up to my name, you know. So it's cool, man. But it's interesting that you noticed that, man. And this right here has probably been the cause of many people's anxiety. Anxiety and, for me, joy, you know? I mean, the anxiousness comes from not knowing that when I design something on a certain computer, it's gonna look different on another computer. And when you print it from one printer, the colors are gonna print differently. And RGB, CMYK. If you are registering what I'm saying, you've probably been through some of this heartache already. And so like the color journey has been an interesting one, but a resourceful one as well. So like I've learned from that. Like, do you remember Songs for Sailing?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember that like I had like one shoot and the color came out the other way, and then did another shoot, and like I had no idea about like lighting until the color came out different, like. And I'm just like, I was telling my friend who's helping me with the installation that I'm doing here, I was like, yo man, like I really didn't understand that like what I was doing was like set design, or like I just had like these, for me they were like creative ideas, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna make them happen. And it's like, he's like, you know, welcome to construction. And like, that's what he told me recently, and I was like, oh, word.